4. Hope you're all doing well, feeling sprightly and ready for another day's maths. So, without further ado, let's get started. Let's have a look at your do now. So, today our world is to add and subtract decimals with tenths. So for our do now, what I'd like you to do is practice your addition and subtraction by completing the following equations using column method that you will have done millions of times before. So pause the video now and crack on with the do now. So hopefully that's given you enough time just to have a look at those. Let's have a look at the answers. So if you grab a different piece, a different pen or pencil, there are the answers. So to go through the world again, today we are going to be adding and subtracting decimals with tenths. So the first number after the decimal point. And here are some of the star words that we're going to be using and hearing today. So when I say them, if you call them back after me. So, decimal point, add, subtract, tenths, regrouping. Very good. And as a quick recap to yesterday, a quick review of what we did, where we were finding the missing part of a whole, what I'd like you to do, please, is pause the video. Can you find what missing part plus 3.6 is going to make 10 the whole? Off you go. So hopefully you guys remembered that we need after the decimal point, we need a number bond to 10. So here we have 6 and 4 make 1 whole, and then 3 plus 6 make 9. Add those together is 10. So the answer would be 6.4. So that's just a cue for me to grab my visualizer. So we're going to try some addition and subtraction using decimals and our Dean's blocks. So here we have 0.8 plus 0.3 is our question. So I've got nothing on my ones because there's nothing on 0.8, and I've got my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tenths. So I've got 0.8 shown in Dean's here. And what I've got to do is add 0.3 to this. So I've got my 3 other tenths that I need to add on. So what I'm going to do is 0.9, 10, or this would become 1 whole. Now, I can't have 10 tenths in this area. The most that I can possibly have at this place value is 9. So what I'm going to have to do is exchange these 10 tenths for a 1. So these are going to move over to this side and get exchanged for one of those. And then we've still got the final tenth to add on. So how many 1s do we have in this place value? Now we've got 1. And how many tenths do we have? 1. So the answer here would be 1.1. And we see that makes sense because 8 plus 3 is 11. And just like you do without a decimal point, you move it all up a place value. So then it becomes 1.1. So I'm going to rub that out. And then we will try a new one together. So let's try while we've got it here, 1.1 plus 1.4. So at the moment we've got 1.1 there. Displayed in front of us, we have 1 1 and 1/10, and we need to add 1.4. 0.4. So, first thing that we're going to do is add our tenths. And how many tenths do we need? We need 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we need to add our 1, 1 as well. So I'll put that on top of there. So our answer now is 1.1 plus 1.4 would be 1, 2 before the decimal point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 2.5. And just to change that from down there as well. So this one didn't require any regrouping. So let's make it a bit harder for ourselves. So let's keep it on 2.5. And let's this time do 2.5 plus 0.7. So 2.5 plus 0.7. So the first thing I'm going to do is add my tenths. And how many of those tenths do I need? I need 7 of those. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7. So, what is the issue that I've got here? Why do I not like this very much? Well, hopefully you've been able to see that I've got far too many tenths than are allowed at this place value. The maximum I can have in here is 9 tenths, and I'm well over that. So what I'm going to have to do is regroup. So I'm going to have to count off 10 of these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I will remove those. And then I'll have to exchange them to regroup them into the ones. So therefore we have 1, 2, 3 wholes, 3 ones, sorry. How many tenths do we have? 2. So 2.5 plus 0.7 equals 3.2. Now, what happens if we're going the other way? So I'm going to remove a couple of these now. And let's look at subtraction. So this number at the moment that I've got displayed with my Deans is 1 whole, 1, 1, and 2 tenths, so 1.2. And this time I want to subtract 0.4. Now, how am I going to do that? Well, I can remove the first 2 tenths. So 0.1 has been subtracted, 0.2 has been subtracted. But that isn't enough. I can't then just write the number 1.0. I've still got 0.2 left to subtract. So what I've got to do is I've got to regroup these ones, this one, into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But these don't belong there, so I have to move them over to our tenth side. And then I can remove our 0.3 and our 0.4. So what answer does that give us? So pause the video now. Can you tell me in decimal, as a decimal answer, what is this answer displaying in Deans now? I'll separate them a little bit so it makes it a bit clearer. So hopefully you've noticed that before the ones, or at the ones we have nothing, so before the decimal point, we're going to put 0. And now these ones that we've regrouped, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8. Very, very good. Excellent job. So I'm going to leave that there for the moment and show you your next task. So what I would like you to do is draw Deans to solve the following equations here. So I understand that you won't have Deans with you, so most likely. So drawing them is absolutely fine. So the first question here is 0.4 plus 0.3, which I've got written out for me already. So what you need to do is, what would 0.4 be in Deans? Am I going to use any ones? No. I'm going to need how many tenths? I'm going to need 4 tenths, which are the long rods. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Then our plus sign, 0.3, 1, 2, 3, equals, and then I'll leave it up to you to figure out the answer. Now this first one may not include any regrouping, but the others most likely might do. And then you can draw the answers there with your holes and ones. So that's sort of how it should be presented. So I'll leave these questions in front of you here. Pause the video now and resume once you have finished. Off you go. Right, so let's have a look. Hopefully you got something that looks a little bit like this. So pause the video now and you can go through any of those answers in a second. Right. So what I would like you to do now, what we're going to learn to do now is column method, just like we did in our do now, but this time we are going to throw in some decimals, which makes it sound like it's going to be a lot harder. And in fact, it's not really. It's exactly the same thing. So the first thing we're going to do is label our place value. So what's the highest place value that we have with these numbers? So this one is in the hundreds, and this one's in the hundreds as well. So there are no thousands that we need. So we can start with our hundreds. Then we're going to need our tens, our ones. And really important that we include this. This is the most important thing, our decimal point, which needs to be lined up. And I would implore you all to write your decimal point along with your place value so that you don't forget it, because it's very easy to do. And then our lowest place value is going to be our tenths. And we're not going into our hundreds yet. We'll be doing that next week. So place value has been labeled. Tick, lovely. Number 2, line up your numbers with the correct place value. Really important question here. Are your decimal points lined up? That you need to make sure that it is done in the correct place value, just like you would with a normal addition without a decimal point. So 453, that's useful, 0.7 plus 347.1. Now, you can see with my decimal points that they have been lined up beautifully, so I can tell that my place value is absolutely spot on. And what I'm going to do, this is where I'm going to put my answer. Even before I start answering, I'm going to put my decimal point in there as well, because that is not going to move. They should be in this really neat straight line all the way down. Then, from this point, it is just start adding or subtracting. We're going to be adding in this case, from the tenths. So from the smallest number to the ones, to the tens, to the hundreds, just like you normally would on a normal addition. So let's have a look. So 7 plus 1, 8. 3 plus 7 is 10, so 0. And we can carry the 1 over. 5 plus 4 is 9. plus the 1 that we've carried, 10, so another 0, carry the 1 over, 4 plus 3, 7, plus the 1, 8. So it is 800.8. And it's really, really important, and I cannot say it or stress it enough, that we have those decimal points going all the way down, because otherwise your answer is not going to make any sense. So let's move on to another one. So what's the first thing I've got to do? What's the first thing I've got to do? Read the first step to success. I need to label the place value. So do we have any thousands this time? Nope. It's, again, just going to start with the hundreds. Is the highest place value we need. Tens, ones, and do we need any hundredths? No, it's just tenths. Can you tell me? Does that look good to you so far? Hopefully you're shouting, no, Mr. Parker, you have forgotten your decimal point. There we go. So that's my place value labeled. Next, line up your numbers with the correct place value. So we have 649.8 and 172.4. There you go, 6,498 plus 1,724. No, Mr. Parker, what have I forgotten? Of course, I've forgotten my bullet point, not my decimal point. Why am I calling it a bullet point? My decimal point right there. So again, you can see how neatly these are done, and this is why it's important to have one number per digit, because otherwise it means that your decimal point is going to end up in the wrong place. So now we've got them lined up beautifully. We can start adding and subtracting. Let's start from the tenths. 8 plus 4 is 12. 2 carry the 1. 9 plus 2 is 11. Plus the 1 is 13. Oh, sorry. 9 plus 2 is 11, plus 1 is 12, I should say. Carry the 1 across. 7 plus 4 is 11, plus the 1 is 12. And then 6 plus 1 is 8. So 8,222. Again, hopefully you're calling out at the screen. No, Mr. Parker, how can 649.8 plus 172.4 equal 8,222? What have I forgotten? Okay, decimal point. You can see how forgetting such a small feature, such a small detail as a decimal point, changes the answer completely. It makes it 10 times bigger, that number, if I remove that decimal point. And your challenge for today, I know that you guys all know how to do column addition and column subtraction. However, I guarantee that some of you are going to be forgetting that decimal point. So make sure you include all of those. Okay, so for this one here, I would like you to give it a go completely by yourself. So 763.3, take away 189.9. So this one's a subtraction. Give it your best shot, guys. Okay, off you go. Okay, so hopefully you have finished this question. Let's get started. So hopefully you guys remember to label the place value. Again, we're not going higher than hundreds today. Hundreds, tens, ones, decimals. Now, I'm betting that at least some of you will have been forgetting to put your decimal place in, but we'll see how you get along with that. Then we need to line up the numbers with the correct place value. 7, 6, 3.3, 188.9. And let's have a look. 3 plus 9 is 12. Hopefully, again, calling out. I always see this in a couple of books. People not looking at what we are doing. Are we doing addition or subtraction? It should be subtraction. So 3 take away 9 we can't do. So we're going to have to go over to our neighbor and borrow 1 from them, making it 13. That then becomes a 2. 13 take away 9 we can do is 4. 2 take away 8. You should be calling out, what have I forgotten? What have I forgotten to do there? Of course, I've forgotten to use the decimal point. So I'll put that in there. 2 take away 8. Can't do. So we're going to borrow from our neighbor. That becomes a 5. That becomes a 12. 12 take away 8 is 4. 5 take away 8, again, we can't do. So we're going to borrow 1 from there, making it 15. This is going to become a 6. 15 take away 8 is 7. 6 take away 1 is 5. So 574.4. And I'll be interested to see how many of you have forgotten to do your decimal point there and have written 5,700. So that is your challenge, not to forget those. So I am going to, before you move on to your independent task, I want you to have a look at these. Just from the setup of the question, which is correct, which is incorrect, and why. So pause the video now, have a look at that. Off you go. All right, so hopefully you've had a look at them, and you can tell instantly, without really giving it too much attention, that A has been set up correctly. What's the mistake that they've made on B? So the mistake they've made is that the place value is completely off. This number's 342, yet they've put the 3 in the thousands column with the 1,000. So it's really, really important that you look very carefully at which number belongs with which place value. Because of course now that means the decimal point is completely off, and I don't know whether I put it there or I put it there, and then the answer is going to go completely skew with. So for your second task, please, you've got all the steps to success here. You have 5 questions which use either column addition or column subtraction. Can you please line them up beautifully? When I look on Seesaw, I want to see them lined up incredibly beautifully. Your decimal point, all the way from when you're labeling your place value, all the way down to your answer in a beautiful, neat line. That's your aim. So pause the video now, guys. Off you go. So let's see how you got on. Did you remember that decimal point? Here are the answers. If there are any that you've got dramatically wrong, think, oh no, have I added instead of subtracted? Have I subtracted instead of added? Have I remembered that decimal point? Okay, now on to your reasoning. Those that would like to push yourself, your challenge is there as well. So, firstly, what is the problem with this calculation? And secondly, and I'll read this to you just in case it's a bit confusing. In an arithmegon, so that's what this sort of shape is, it's an arithmegon. The number in each square is equal to the sum of the circles on either side. Complete the following puzzles. So basically, this circle plus this circle equals that square. This circle plus this circle equals that square, and so on and so forth. So you've got to use your knowledge of addition and subtraction and decimals to work that out. So your reasoning and your challenge, pause the video now, off you go. Righty-ho, let's have a look at the answers then. There you are. I will leave those just there for you. Pause the video and you can have a go at looking through those. So guys, really, really excellent work today. Hopefully you remember those decimal points. Looking forward to seeing your work on Seesaw to see how you got on. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow as well. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.